I don't even have my channel up, so I don't know what's going on there. Hi, people, everybody. How's it going today? I'm running a little bit behind schedule. I got stuck at Costco. Don't ever go to Costco when you have a live scheduled. It's a bad idea. But anyway, as soon as Marcus is back, we'll have. So we have Clearwater Chad today.
Yep.
He looks like he's out in the nature. And we have Joe. Joe, I'm going to butcher your name, your last name.
Just Joe is fine.
Just Joe. Awesome. It's just, yeah, I'm not even going to try. But anyway, so we have Joe and Clearwater Chad. And what we're going to talk about today, guys, is we're going to talk about what our favorite foods are. There's a lot of people with last week we talked about food and family. Oh, she's got it right next to her. So what is that, Joe? You're still muted. There you are.
That is my dinner.
Ah, okay.
Because it is 7 p.m. here.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's sausages and potato in gravy with apple.
Ah. Well, you sent me a great recipe. I'm looking forward to trying it. Are you back, Marcus? I'm going to bring you on. There you are. Hello, Marcus. So we have In Theta joining us as well. Marcus?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I have been wanting to get with you because I know you and me need to talk about some Cajun stuff.
Yeah, I made a gumbo. Just finished the man, it lasted a long time.
Did it?
I froze it. We ate so much, we got fat. And then we froze it. And then we defrosted it a couple weeks ago and been eating on it. I have a video of me making the roux.
Awesome.
And the ingredients and all that.
Well, we'll have to talk about that because gumbo is amazing, and I know you know how to make it right.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to make a gumbo.
Oh yeah,
there's different kinds of gumbo.
There sure is. And one of my favorites is an etouffee, which of course is not a gumbo, but it
starts with a roux.
Yes, it does, and it is an amazing. I absolutely love an etouffee. It is one of my favorite things.
Shrimp etouffee, crawfish etouffee.
The first one I ever had was a catfish etouffee.
Catfish etouffee. Okay.
Yeah.
There's also a courtbouillon. You ever had a courtbouillon?
No, I have not.
This also starts with the roux.
Yes, and roux are important. Guys, you don't realize just how much you can do when you have a roux that you've made.
That's what I was told. Exactly. It all starts with a roux.
It all starts with a roux, and it starts with the holy trinity of Cajun cooking.
Oh yeah, the mirepoix. You got and some different people like it different ways. I personally like the onions, the green onions, the and the garlic. Some people like put celery. Celery I like in the wintertime gumbo because it's got good stuffs in there to fight, the colds and stuff.
Yeah.
How you doing, Joe? Where did Chad go?
I don't know where he went.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm just I'm muting myself occasionally because you don't want to hear me munching.
Oh, you're grubbing down.
Yep. It's 7 p.m. here, so I'm having dinner.
Hey, Chad.
Appropriately, right, for the food show.
Yeah.
What are you eating? Did they already say? You already said?
I did, but I can repeat if you like.
Yeah, what you eating?
So it's sausages in gravy with apple and veg and potato and stuff.
Knocked my phone over.
See, down here we put rice on everything. Oh, that looks good.
Yeah,
that looks good. I got a little snapshot. Chad, did you eat yet? What'd you have for lunch?
Oh, no. I had breakfast, but I didn't have lunch yet, so I'm definitely getting lunch after this.
Yeah, I had some tacos.
Oh, nice.
I made some tacos last night. Cynthia loves the tacos. She had 6 of them.
Nice.
I finished off the gumbo because I couldn't stand to see it. It was almost The gumbo you can keep for a long time, and I
Mhm.
had frozen it, but it was like 1 or 2 more days, and I would have had to throw it out.
Yeah.
So I just said to hell with it, and I ate it.
Awesome. So, is that background noise? Is that me?
It's probably Chad. Yeah, it's
I'm
Chad.
gonna mute myself until I
Okay.
talk.
Okay. Yeah, it's having a gumbo. I mean, gumbo's basic for Louisiana cooking. And obviously it's one of your favorite things, correct, Marcus?
I mean, it's one of the easier things to
Mhm.
make. When you make coubillons and etouffees and like shrimp creole and stuff like that, the roux, there's different states that you want it to
Mhm.
be at
Mhm.
for what you're making. And gumbo is easy for me because you
It's a
just
dark
burn
roux.
it. You just
It's a
burn
dark
the
roux,
roux.
yeah.
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 You burn the
So
flour, but with the coubillons and the etouffees, it's a lighter roux,
mhm.
and getting it just the right color and just the right, affects the
Mhm.
flavor. So,
Yes.
but what I love is putting the mirepoix or whatever, your onions and your garlic and your stuff in there in the roux with the oil, and hearing the caramelization happening
Yeah.
and
Yes.
smelling that. Oh my God, the
Nothing
whole
better.
house smells like it. Yeah.
Nothing better.
Yep.
So,
I put
yeah.
chicken and sausage in mine. I'm real simple. Some people do seafood gumbos. I got a good friend who can cook a hell of a seafood gumbo, but I myself am not confident enough to season it all correctly because seafood is different.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, it has the key to seafood is making sure it's cooked, not overcooked, because seafood gets fishy or gummy or, if it's overcooked. And so, and then you need to have a different seasoning base
Yeah.
to
And
run
that's
off.
what I'm not competent and familiar enough with,
Mhm,
like
mhm,
the seasonings that
mhm.
are used. Paul Prudhomme makes a really good product.
Yeah,
This is called Seafood Magic,
yeah.
and I like it on like catfish, or I'll mix it
Mhm.
in with my my I don't know what you call it. You coat the fish with the breading.
The breading. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'll mix a little bit of that in with some cayenne and some regular crushed peppers and stuff like garlic, salt.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
like doing that is different than making a gumbo and adding all that stuff. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
Awesome. I mean, I'd really like to get with you and let's talk Cajun cooking one of these days because it is fascinating. It is a totally different world. You know, it is when you're
Well,
talking about the
yeah.
holy, yeah, when you talk about the Holy Trinity, like Marcus says, it's everybody has their own. But
Mm,
the base Holy Trinity is peppers, onions, and
onions
garlic
and garlic. Hmm.
is the base Holy Trinity.
That's right.
And
And what
yeah,
color peppers is up to you. What kind of
exactly.
onions is up to you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. And then some people add stuff like celery, like but that's
Right.
sometimes that's considered like when you buy it in the store here in Louisiana, they got onions, celery, and green onions
Green
as
onions.
frozen.
Yeah.
That's the mirepoix version here. But sometimes you'll see in other parts of Louisiana, you'll see red pepper, onion, and
Mhm.
garlic. Just red
Mhm.
pepper, onion, and garlic. So where I come from, it's green pepper, white onion, or sorry, green onion, white onion, and garlic, and that's like what I
Mhm.
use and what we use to
Awesome.
start the roux with to caramelize it. That smell is just
Oh,
So
so amazing.
so let's talk about what is a roux. There's people out there who don't know what we're talking about when we say roux.
Hmm.
Basically, a roux starts out as equal parts fat and flour. Okay, and depending on how long you cook it, depends on the color. A lot of times I use a roux base to make a gravy or
Hmm.
a sauce because but I don't cook it very long, so it barely it gets almost a I don't know,
Light,
caramel color, very
right.
light.
hmm
And it starts to smell of almonds. As you go deeper into some of these, and your etouffees is going to be a little bit further along, and some of these others are going to be a little bit further. And when you get to gumbo, it's literally what we call
Burnt
a
flour.
dark roux. Yeah. But the key is that you're cooking that flour.
Yeah.
So you don't get the flour flavor. So
Yeah, and you got to stir it. You got to stir
Keep
it
it going.
constantly.
yeah, you can't
If you
walk away
can't
from
let,
it.
yeah, it's a 30-minute ordeal with the color that I make,
Mhm.
and 'cause it's like considered very dark roux,
Mhm.
and you just get a wooden spoon and scraping and just constantly
keep it
constantly
going.
stirring because you don't want to burn the roux. That'll make
No.
you'll smell it, and
Yeah.
it could ruin a pot maybe depending on your pot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely has a smell when it goes over. I mean, dark roux is on the borderline of burnt. I mean, it's
Yeah.
literally
Yeah,
right there
it's
on
on
that
the
borderline.
cusp, right? It's like
Yeah.
the stuff they
So
sell at the store is
Mhm.
like they make it in controlled manufactured circumstances, and they get it right to the edge, and it's called very dark roux, Savoy's very dark roux,
Mhm.
and like right before it
Yes, it's
burns.
spelled Roux. That
Mhm.
is the exact spelling of it. So, Cajun cooking is based on it. You really don't get much in the Cajun genre in cooking without a roux. And again, it goes from light to dark, and there's all kinds in between.
Well,
So,
yeah, it's kind of like the Cajun and Creole culture.
mhm,
A lot of the
mhm.
food is actually it's called Cajun is actually Creole, multicultural, from the adoption of all of the cultures that came here from France. You have the French
French and
colonials that came here,
Mhm,
and this was New France to them, the Nouvelle
mhm,
Orleans, New Orleans.
Mhm.
They were very much into incorporating all of, aside from the fact that a lot of the people here taught them how to survive and what to eat, but yeah, they incorporated a multicultural. It's multicultural food. That's why in New
mhm.
Orleans you can find so many things to eat. It's not a city to count your calories in. Only the people who aren't healthy do that.
Yeah.
Hey, best beans and rice I've ever had, I got in New Orleans.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe
I'll
it.
definitely say that. And the beignets are delicious.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, don't be
Oh,
counting calories in New
oh
Orleans.
no,
That's
no,
a
no,
sin
no, no.
here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hey, Sin, there's your beans and rice recipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually
Definitely
got
think.
some sausage thawed out right now. That's what I'm going to be making
Yep.
this weekend: red beans and rice.
I need to come down to
Yes.
your house then.
Oh, no kidding. Well, I tell you what got me stuck at Costco. Why I'm running a little bit behind. I decided to go get a Primal Cut prime rib roast
Oh boy.
and cut my own steaks. So right now it's in the fridge waiting because I just got home, waiting for me to cut it, and because I want to do a video showing people how to store meat, because a lot of people they get freezer burn on their meat because they don't wrap it
Correct.
correctly. Yeah.
Question. With those steaks, would you do a video on the LRH method of cooking one?
I don't know. You have to tell me what that is for sure, because I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Mike Rinder has mentioned it in several of the ones they did before he,
Okay.
before he started his cancer treatments and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The way it was is you take your steak, and when you cook it, and when the blood starts coming, you time it, because when the blood starts coming up, you flip it over and you cook it for the exact same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
No.
thumbnail. I have a thumbnail that Mrs. J made me because I was going to do the video. But since you're
Right.
the cooking channel, I figure I'll just send you the thumbnail.
Scientology
Yeah.
steaks.
Well,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, one of the things I do want to do is talk to people who were in Sea Org
Yeah.
and find out. I hear there's a blueberry cobbler, which I kind of had to scream and yell before I got the information of what it's actually a crumble. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, Steven.
But it's actually a crumble.
Mhm.
So, I had, because there's 3 ways to make cobbler. And so I got that one done. I've heard chicken, but I haven't heard how, is it thighs and drumsticks because that's the cheap meat,
Probably.
or is it breasts and wings, is it fried? Is it grilled? How was it done? Was it put in a casserole? How was it done?
You need to talk to Catherine Olson.
I sent her an email. I haven't heard back from her. It's quite a while ago, so I probably need to revisit that.
Yeah.
She doesn't know who I am, so I think that's part of the issue. So, it's going to take a little bit. Bison drumsticks. Interestingly enough, I'm working on for Claire. Claire and I had a Claire Headley, and I talked a little bit about what she would like to. Because the other thing I'm doing is I'm naming recipes after the personalities that is in SPTV. That means Marcus, you'll get one. That means Joe, you'll get one, and Brian, you'll get one. Chad's got a whole section, So Marcus, you were muted on that. I don't know why, but anyway. But so anyway, that's one of the things I'm going to do. But the key of it is I'm having to kind of listen to the conversations you guys have.
Yeah.
And hope that I get a little gem.
I said GPM gumbo, goals problem mass gumbo, which is this whole like crazy thing in the tech dictionary.
Yeah.
Goals problem mass.
Goals problem
It's
mass.
a whole stupid thing, man. It's like, goals problem mass. It's one of these things that turn you in on your head and just get you all twacked out.
Oh no.
Yeah, they handle that in auditing. They're like, do you have any GPMs that you'd like? Well, let's identify. What's that? Oh yeah, that's that right there. And then they'll get you all twisted up over something.
Wow.
No, but I've done I've done the LRH method of cooking steaks, and it works really well, actually.
I tempt them.
Now you just wait. I guess it depends, because I like mine more on the side of
rare,
medium well.
Medium well. Oh,
yeah. I don't like it mooing. I don't like it mooing.
Mine's just wipe its rear end and throw it on the grill long enough for it to moo, and we're good.
Yeah,
I've had steak tartare. I absolutely love it. So I mean, that's how far we are.
But yeah, so I wait till a little bit more of the blood collects. But if you got a big enough thing where you're cutting steaks, you can do some experimentation.
This thing is this. You can't really see, but it is
big.
It's huge. It was a little over 200 and almost $250 for the
wow, that's a huge piece of meat.
Yeah. And it was so I'm gonna be cutting it, and which the nice thing about cutting it, and here's the cool thing. I mean, yeah, I'm saving about 10 cents a pound per, for doing it this way, for me cutting it instead of them doing it and wrapping it. And so I'm going to
10 cents per pound.
10 cents per pound. That's what it actually.
How many pounds you got?
I want to say it was like, I'd have to look. I can't remember. Right around 12 something.
And you're saving 10 cents per pound, so you're saving what, $10
on that particular one. That doesn't include the pork chops, because I got a great deal on the pork loin. I mean, that sucker's big too, and it was not a little about $9 a pound, but then they took $5 off. So they had a special going, so I got 2 of those.
I like pork chops.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut my own pork chops and that type of stuff. So,
I like baking pork chops in the crock pot. I'll throw like you were talking about gravy earlier. I'll get the prepackaged pork gravy.
Yeah,
you can get like at the Dollar General or something. Throw some vegetables in it and just let it cook for a couple hours, and it's really good.
I'm doing pork chops in different ways. My husband has a way that he really likes it, and right now he's a little annoyed because the way I'm doing pork chops are different ways to do them. Yeah. And so he'll get back to that eventually. But he did enjoy the honey mustard ones the other night, sort of a honey mustard barbecue that I did the other night. That video, I'm still in editing on that. So anyway, so Chad, while we have you there in the wild, I don't know if I've still got you going, but anyway, what's your favorite?
He's foraging.
Food? He's foraging for his favorite food. Let's hope it's not roadkill.
Oh, sorry, Cindy, I couldn't hear you. What'd you say again?
What is your favorite food?
Oh, it's the spaghetti with the fried breadcrumbs on top. Old Italian
right.
dish.
Yeah. So that's almost the it's almost the Musco type thing. I did the Musco spaghetti casserole, which I didn't put breadcrumbs on top, but I can. You know. But that sounds good. And as I recall, Brian, yours was actually biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, my grandma's biscuits and gravy. I love that's a good childhood memory.
Yeah. So is it something that you have often, or is it?
No, because I don't do gravy. I'm too impatient, and like when you were talking about the roux earlier, the few times I've tried to do it, I messed it up. So I'll either get the prepackaged stuff, or they do that stuff down at the store, and I'll get them. But it's nothing like my grandma's.
Yeah, the roux actually, it can be tricky, but it's really not that bad. I'll do something on a solid roux.
It's super easy. It's just you have to have the patience.
Yeah, and that's where I lack.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have some ribeye steak tonight, and that's one of my favorite things. You know, if you're talking about a base dinner type steak. Now, if you were to ask me exactly what my very favorite was, it's anything chocolate. But I'm female, so that's kind of how that works. You know, anything chocolate. You know, but anyway, so let's kind of go into some of these things. Joe sent me a great recipe. Just you want to talk about that, Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say I sent you some pictures as well by email and by Facebook. I don't know if you got those, but those might help to illustrate some of them.
Yeah, she sent me a whole series. It was I want to say 5 or 6 recipes, isn't that right?
It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's just a book I guess I kind of put together of like I like to experiment with food, and so these are things that worked out, and so I wrote them down because otherwise I'd forget it because I have the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah,
and that way I know what works, and so I can recreate things that I like.
Yeah.
So a bit chesty tonight as well.
Fun fact. You know what kangaroo means in the Aboriginal language?
What does it mean?
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's when the English colonized there, they asked, they saw these strange animals, and they asked what that was. This is a story I heard. Asked what that was, and the guy said kangaroo. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking.
I don't know what you're saying. That's
Exactly.
funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Interesting.
I have a funny story about bread. So in India they have naan bread, right?
Oh, I love it.
But naan comes from the Farsi word from Iran, which also means bread. In Farsi is naan, right?
Right.
So in this country, when we have Indian restaurants which serve naan bread, it just means bread.
Bread.
Bread. That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was like here in Texas and in probably in South. My goodness, you okay there?
I need to get some
I
water.
got a cough tonight.
All right, yeah, go get you some water, sweetheart. But anyway, tortilla is the bread here, you know, and in Central and South America probably as well. Any kind of tortilla. Now, Mitch Brisker is saying that he's going to do a huevos rancheros, and that and he makes his own, from scratch corn
That
tortillas
sounds
now.
good.
Yeah, I don't do corn tortilla. I don't do the masa. I haven't worked with it yet, so that's going to be fun for me to watch him do. I do flour tortillas, and they're a pain in the rear. Yeah,
I
They
can't eat
really are.
corn right now. I've been the reason I took such a big hit off of my thing is I've been having some gastro issues.
Yeah.
So I have to avoid certain foods
Mhm.
and I love nachos and I haven't had nachos in months. It sucks.
Steven says that could be an urban myth, but it's funny. I'm assuming the kangaroo
The
thing.
kangaroo story, yeah. I watch a lot of history
Mhm.
stuff on history and stuff. I just find that stuff fascinating. And it was on one of the I think either History Time or something is one of the YouTube channels I watch.
Right.
And
right.
it's just those little bitty stories just kind of stick in the old brain.
Yeah, my husband's kind of that way. He is a catalog of what I call useless information.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I'd watch
Me
Jeopardy,
too.
and I get about half of the questions right.
Hmm.
Well, some people thought I should go in there and no, I'd probably freeze up.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing happened with my family and me is I used to read. I don't have the time really anymore, but I used to read a lot of historical romance novels.
Mhm.
And the funny part about it is, a lot of guys think that we read it for all the smut that's in
Smut.
those. Yeah. Well, I would, Marcus.
You
just
dirty
chipping in.
little smut reader.
Well, I would skip those parts because I was more interested in the.
Oh, sure you
I
did.
did. I did every time. I would skip them.
My mother, one of my mothers, says the same thing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe either one of you.
Well,
I'm with you, Marcus. Speaking of,
I mean, maybe you skipped some, but I mean, come on.
but I like the historical base of a lot of those because some of them were actually based in true historical.
Oh
events.
no, they're great books. I've read,
You know.
I've thumbed through. So I haven't read any full book, but yeah, when I was at my brother's and staying with them, like that, she had a whole wall of them.
Uh-huh.
Danielle Steele was one of the authors.
Yeah.
She read a ton of, and she was a great writer.
I enjoyed Nora Roberts.
Nora Roberts as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the Clan of the Cave Bear series?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's you can tell Jane Iowell did her research.
Yes, she did.
And it's one of those. Yeah, there are parts of it where I was just like,
dry.
Yeah, no, but there are parts of it that were really that came out of a freaking romance novel too.
Oh God, yes.
Oh God, but yeah,
really did.
They're good books. I enjoyed them a lot.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, and I did enjoy reading those, but it was mostly, I'll be honest, it was mostly for the historical. Of course, there was two things that would happen. It would be I would read those books, and then I would get caught up on current events when I would go visit my mother's family, and because they were very, very current event oriented. And so I would get back to school after, say, Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I would know all of this stuff. And they're like, where did you, well, I heard my grandmother said something about it, that type of thing. And my grandmother, my aunt would argue over, because they were like polar opposites. Really funny. But yeah, it was interesting, but a lot of the historical stuff, and to have some of them describe some of the things they were eating was interesting as well, So Stephen has some information here.
Squashing my good time, huh?
Yeah. In 1898, anthropologist Walter Roth wrote to the editors of the Australasian. Yeah, try to say that one.
Australasian.
Australasia, yeah.
Okay.
Australasian.
I'm glad somebody could say it because I was stuck. Anyway, to set this record straight, kangaroo, he said, is clearly derived from gangaroo, meaning black kangaroo. And then he continues. in the language of the, oh God, I'm not going to be able to say that one at all. Goo goo. Wow.
Hold on, I'll help you.
Yidimir.
Yeah, Gugu Ymidir.
Yeah, something like that.
Ymidir.
Those people of North Queensland, it is their name for the eastern gray kangaroo, but the lexicographers took no note of this until
Lexicographers.
1972. And we continue. When linguistic anthropologist John Haviland began his work on those guys and was able to confirm the kangaroo etymology.
Interesting.
Wow.
Learn something new every day.
That's amazing. Wow, Stephen. You're even more you're even more a bigger font of useless information than my husband. Congratulations.
I mean, people of the internet. I mean, like, there's just there's somebody in the community that knows something about something that no one else does.
It's like you talk about Stephen is very, very bright. I can tell because he does. I've kind of seen him in other chats and enjoyed his information gathering and giving. There's certain things that certain people talk about. It's like my husband likes to talk about flying, and he likes to talk about the Navy. Well, he's a former Navy SEAL, so yeah. So you never again volunteer yourself. But anyway, so he was one of those guys. And granted, he can't talk about a lot of it because a lot of it is still top secret, some of the things he did. Back when Discovery Channel was doing the Navy SEALs things, there was a couple of stories that he had told me prior to that as I was watching this, I'm going, this is really familiar, and find out that he was one of the people involved in it. So it was kind of interesting. But, on the other hand, you asked me about, there's a racehorse back in 1973. Some of you may recognize him. His name was Secretariat. You say something about Secretariat, and I can tell you the day he was born and what time and where, and everything about him, what his times were when he ran the Triple Crown race. I mean, those are the things that I can talk about with some pretty solid knowledge. So, everybody has their niche, their things that they talk about that they really know that they're interested in, they study. Some people have a lot of things, and some people are very limited in that.
Well, and some people just, are on the internet and will Google everything,
Yeah,
I mean, I do that. Like if someone's on a stream and we're trying to figure something out, like, oh, well, this may be that, and it may just be like Stephen was saying, like wives' tale or whatever, urban legend.
Yeah.
So like, I'll Google that real quick, and figure it out. I mean, it's just Google it's just a Google away, man.
Yeah. As Stephen here says, I say it again, I have a PhD in everything from Google University.
Yeah, there you go.
That is the truth. There's a lot of people out there that have the same PhD. My husband being one of them, and it's really funny. I'm busy listening to Aaron, or I'm busy listening to you, Marcus, or listening to somebody on, doing a stream, and here my husband comes behind me with telling me about, God knows, Enhada, whatever her name from ABBA, and I'm like, So it's really kind of funny, and it's a lot of fun though. So one of the things that I was thinking about is that y'all have noticed that groceries have become incredibly expensive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can remember, not that long ago, I would spend $150 and have a full cart. Now I spend $350 and my cart's half full. Those type of things.
Yeah.
And so, I think I think basically what we need to do is go back in time. I mean, there was a lot of stuff during the Depression. People had to figure out how to live and how to eat
I
during that.
think I think the expression is called gear down.
Gear down, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That came from. I remember reading that in a book that for the exact same concept. And coming out from living out in the country, I grew up with gardens. I don't do any gardening right now myself, but I've been thinking about it. Like I build these what I call elevated gardens. I'll have to send you pictures of it there. Basically for lazy people who don't want to bend over and weed, and stuff. So I built one for one of my best friends, and if you want one, just let me know. I can build them to whatever custom you want. But anyways, that's what I'm thinking about doing myself.
Yeah. I actually, where I live, the HOA group of people will not allow us to put anything garden in the ground. So I am hoping we're going to start it probably the first of the year, start getting everything together for it. But I want to do a raised garden like on my back patio.
I could build you one.
You could.
Yes, I could. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. And I really want herbs. I mean, herbs are my big thing, although peppers and potatoes and, the broccoli and beans and that type of stuff I really like to have. Nothing's better than that fresh, really fresh vegetables and really fresh meats. Unfortunately, I can't keep chickens on my, in my yard or any of that because they just won't let me.
I grew up with all that stuff. It was I never realized how unique of an experience that was until I started going to school, and all the kids are bringing Lunchables, and I'm like, I've got like green beans and some blackberries and some cut up squash. And I'm looking at them, and they're peeling their plastic off of their Lunchable, and they got like a snack and a snick. I'm like, man, I kind of feel like I'm getting screwed here, but I really liked the green beans. I would come home after school and just pick them off the vine, and that would be my after school snack. But not everyone grew up that way. Even here, the kids were like, what is that? They didn't know if it was food.
Yeah, I grew up back when I lived in Florida. When we moved to Orlando, the house that we had was the backyard of a citrus growers plantation. Now, everybody had like orange trees in their backyard, but in my backyard, I actually had a grapefruit tree, had a navel orange tree, a tangerine tree, and what they call a juice orange tree. So we had, these 4 trees. So I would just get all that stuff off the trees and have oranges. And I didn't realize how unusual that was until we came back to Texas. And it was really cool. Hi, Whitney.
Where in Texas are you?
I am in Central Texas, close to Austin.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
a little bit different climate, almost getting close to the west over there, a little dry. You got the tumbleweeds.
We are right on that edge of, they call it the escarpment. There's a, hill country, Texas hill country.
Right.
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with it. I lived in San Antonio for almost 4 years.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Steven says, you think groceries are expensive? Try having my job where I'm always on the road and eating in restaurants. Honey, I lived 7 years in an 18-wheeler with my husband. Yeah, I know. And that was actually, I was in the truck with him when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And you want to talk about, and that was that was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And these truck stops have become a little more conscious of what they're feeding people. But at that time, a little, we're talking.
Man. You can get food poisoning so easy.
But the bad thing is I had actually gotten a menu from each individual, Flying J, TA, Petro, all of the truck stops.
Yeah, the major chains.
And major chains. And I sent that to a nutritionist who was supposed to be helping me try to get, work with blood sugars. This is when I first was diagnosed. So I had no real idea of what I needed to do. And I told her, I said, there was a day that I sat there with the menu in front of me and cried because I couldn't find anything to eat. There was nothing that was on that menu short of the salad bar, and even that was iffy.
Yeah.
To eat. And so I sent her all of these, and she was going to try to come up with a menu using the menus that she had. And she came back to me. Uh-oh.
That's me.
She came back and basically said, I can't find anything for you to eat either. And so it was at that point that we got a mini fridge in the truck, and we got a microwave, we had an inverter. I had one of those cook pots, the ones you plug in and it boils water. And we started cooking out of the truck. So that was an interesting time,
I found a picture of the elevated gardens that I built. I'm going to share it with you guys.
Okay, you have to tell me how to do that because I don't know
I can do it right here.
how. Okay.
I just got to find the thing here. Okay.
Find the ting.
Got to find the thing right there.
You find the ting you.
Or
So we can look at that us.
So Marcus, do you do a whole lot of Cajun speaking? A lot of people, I love the Cajun language.
I was just speaking some Cajun,
A
but
little
it's
bit, yes,
translated to French. I mean, translated like how you would say it in English if you were talking Cajun. Be like,
right.
How are you doing? You.
Mm-hmm.
Brian's gonna get that thing up on the screen for us to look at us.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of repetition going on there, and a lot of inference in the language.
It's a lot of. It's almost a Yoda. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It's like a little swamp Yoda or something, but we kind of like a swamp Yoda that got whooped upside the head with a baseball bat, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of squirrely. Don't really know. You meet a real Creole or Cajun.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think since did you see it pop up
There
in your studio? There.
That awesome. That actually looks really cool.
Yeah, I built that for someone I shouldn't have had feelings for.
That's very nice.
You're ruined.
Yes.
That's very, very nice.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah.
I put a lot of work in it.
Yeah, it looks nice.
That's all nice.
That's actually burnt.
Oh, nice.
The black part.
The legs are burnt. The legs are burnt.
Oh, okay. You did the flame torch thing.
Yeah, I did it with a torch, and then I cut out all the illustrations. I cut out templates for, with cardstock and all that stuff. Yeah, and that the paint is actually glitter infused spray paint.
Awesome. So if anybody wants a raised garden,
contact me on Facebook.
Contact Brian on Facebook, and y'all talk about it.
So I do more than write.
Very good. How's that book going?
Oh, the book's done. Well, the book's done.
No, I know it's done, but how's the sales going?
I've sold a whopping 15.
It's a very niche thing.
You know how many records I've sold?
How many?
0.
0. Oh no.
But I have been reading this.
And?
It's pretty good so far. I'm about halfway through it. A lot of the stuff she goes over, because I've been watching Scientology for a while. I like, the stuff that she mentions. I'm like, I already know this, already know that, I already know a big part of her story, but still her writing style is very informal.
Right.
It's like I told her on one of the live streams that you did together. It's like you're sitting around sharing whatever, and she's just telling you a story.
Awesome. So greetings to Tune Brain Cells, and I'm sorry you have to go, but I totally get it. Thanks for coming in for a short bit. But anyway, yeah, it's to have a talent like that, Brian. You're very, very talented. I'm
I'm
really
glad you think so.
yeah. I mean, to listen to some of the things that you have read, that's just really
Mhm.
I enjoy that. It really is, and that's a great talent. I think we all. I mean, Joe's amazing with her lute. Some of that stuff that she's got going on.
You're too kind.
Yeah,
You're
she
too
is
kind.
amazing.
It's an oud.
Yeah, just amazing stuff. Exactly. So, do those now? Those are done with actual wood. They're not done with things like gourds or anything like that. Or do you do things with gourds?
No, it's all wood. Yeah, no gourds.
Uh-huh. Have you ever worked with the gourd idea?
No, but I have done one with a coconut before. A small one.
Uh-huh.
Coconut, that's interesting.
That's awesome. How did that
Coconut
work?
shell. There's
How did that go? It'd
Sounded
be a
alright.
little bitty tiny one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was a tumbi. It was like
Ah.
do you know Bangra music?
No.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'd be jamming that stuff in Broadmoor.
You know-
Like I'd be jamming that, rolling down the street, and people be like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Hey, there's parts of London you should come to. They'd love it. Anyway, the solo instrument on that is called a tumbi, and it's like a one-string thing that's
Okay.
made of a coconut. So there's one of those I made.
Cool.
Huh. Well,
Have you
that-
ever worked with zebra wood?
Yes.
Is
Makes
it
good
is it as
fingerboards.
much of a? Is it really? Because I've heard it's hard to
Yep.
work with.
Well, the grain can be a bit difficult to plane and stuff, but once it's like, once you get it nice and smooth, it's really strong. So it's
Would
ideal
you
for
say it takes
fingerboards.
longer to get it ready than say a regular fretboard or something? If you're going to use it for that,
Of what wood?
of the zebra wood, like compared to say something like maple or rosewood.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer to like plane it and sand it smooth, but yeah, eventually. Is this food?
Is Steve trolling us with this comment? Isn't working with zebra wood illegal? I don't know.
Well,
I have
A
no
lot of the
idea.
woods are illegal now. Like when I went to the
Anymore.
Taylor factory
Not in the
in
UK, it's
2000
not.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So
But
there's
exporting it might be difficult.
I
yeah.
know the Taylor factory had stocked up and bought all the wood that they could that was about to be illegal, and there was just pallets and pallets and pallets of it. Koa.
Yeah, he's trolling us. He's
There
always
you
trolling
go.
us.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what he
There
does.
you
That's
go.
what I thought. That's what I thought.
Don't feed the trolls. You know how.
Yeah, I know how it works.
Are you talking about the zebras that walk and kind
Yeah,
of sound like mules?
Yeah, he's talking literal zebras.
Oh, I get it now. Zebra wood.
Yeah.
He got you,
That's
Brian.
funny.
Oh well. Hey, I got stoned and I missed it, man.
hmm
So Joe's giving us a picture of. Is this your dinner?
Hey, it worked.
Yeah,
I was actually
good.
just testing out the screen sharing, but it's working, so that's good.
Yeah, it
this
showed up
is
on my
something I
screen.
made a long time ago.
Awesome.
So
what is it?
So this is called saucisse bandari, or
Mhm.
port sausage, to give it the translation. It's like it's a spicy sausage thing in a baguette. It's really good.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like the smash sandwiches that we get in Toulon.
Ah,
Yeah, when I went to
Yeah.
Toulon like 3 times. Love the place, and all of us sailors when we get there, if we weren't on duty or anything, we just swarm the little central square there where they had the food trucks, and there was the smash sandwich cart. When I first got when I first reported to my ship, and they found out we were going to Toulon, they're like, "You're going to love the smash sandwiches." So
Well, given it's called port sausage, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
yeah.
yeah. And what's this?
This is Kabuli palau. So this is a traditional dish from. This version is from Afghanistan, from Kabul, but it's also eaten in like all around Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, etc. as well. So it's rice, and it's got like carrots sliced very thinly,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say, it looks like carrot.
sultanas or raisins, and onion, and it's
Raisin.
all.
Oh
I was
wow,
wondering if
fried
that
and
was
then it's
raisins
mixed
or
in with the
currants.
rice.
very
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
Well, it's not because you fry the vegetables, but
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a lot healthier than what we eat probably down here.
yeah, okay.
That
you
looked
win.
healthy
God,
to
I
me.
love that.
All right, you win.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
considering that they're willing to go out there and grab a raccoon out of a tree or a possum, whatever you can find. That's kind of where Cajun cooking came
Nutri-Rat.
from. A Nutri-Rat, yeah. Those are big guys, man. Let
Oh
me tell
yeah.
you, they're
I think the
huge.
traditional meat you'd have with this would be lamb or goat. So,
Mhm.
yeah, not raccoon, but why not?
Yeah. Well, we used to talk about back when I lived in Beaumont for a little while, Marcus. So,
Oh, Beaumont, Texas. Okay.
yeah. So, so we got a little taste of that, gator and crawfish. They had crawfish things all over the place, but we had gator. We had the frog legs, all of that stuff, and we'd go to these Cajun restaurants they were good. I don't think they were authentic, but they were good.
Yeah,
And
I mean you'll find those everywhere.
yeah,
In California, when I lived out there, working on staff at the mission, people often would be like, "There's this really awesome Cajun restaurant," and it's like, and they were willing to pay for it. So, and I was hungry, so I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But at a certain point, it's like I almost wanted to say, "You know what? I'll just starve," because this is not. I mean, this is like taste testing stuff. You know what it should taste like, and it just doesn't, and it ruins your whole appetite because it's like you get excited to have the meal, and then you're like, oh, what is this?
Disappointment, huh?
Yes, totally.
Yeah, we used to tease about what we call roadkill stew, but in times
I got
don't think
cousins
people-
that'll do
yeah.
that. I mean, they'll go. They live out in Creole parishes, and ain't
Yeah.
much there except a camp. And they'll go out and just grab whatever. There's a lot of stuff that there's no limit on, like hogs. No limit on that, and they will kill some hogs.
Yeah.
And just go out and field dress them and have a cochon de lait right there, or take some of it, cook it, and then bring it to meat processing.
Right.
A lot of fish, whatever you can get. Turtle sauce piquant.
Right. Well, you have to think about it when when times are tough, like they're getting, you have to do what you have to do to survive. So you discover that things that you would normally say that I won't touch that. Oh my God, that's horrid. When it comes down to survival, you will.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just
absolutely.
like when he's talking about alligator tasting like chicken. I've tried alligator once, and it was more fish than chicken to me. And I'm not much of a waterborne. I like salmon and tuna and stuff like that. Not the real fishy tasting stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Whitney is saying your taco in Chicago cannot best my taco in San Diego. Just saying. So Joe, what is that that you've put up there?
That's just a salad that I made from what I had in the fridge at the time.
That looks good.
That looks really good.
Yeah, it looks good.
So this is let me think. Radish, cucumber, tomato, chopped raw onion, lettuce, and then I used lime juice to dress it with. Oh, and these little red things are barberries.
Okay.
Which give a nice zesty taste. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those.
Awesome.
Oh.
Cool.
This is another attempt at
Again, all this
dish.
looks very healthy.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
If it's healthy, why am I so fat?
Are you
on.
kidding me?
Oh, come
You're
on.
not
You're not
fat.
fat.
I'm gonna have to beat you with a wet noodle. What is that we're looking at?
I can't remember the name of this.
It looks delicious.
That looks like, yeah, that does.
Yeah, so I can't remember the name of this bit, but it's aubergine and pepper, and it's really spicy. It's good. This is yogurt, and then this is like a bit of bread.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that looks so good.
Ooh,
Now
waffles.
this is not just any waffle. This is the best waffle ever.
Okay.
This is a custard waffle.
Oh,
You make up some custard, and then you put it when it's liquid into the waffle maker.
Wow.
oh my
Now we're
Lord.
getting into
How-
the stuff that
right?
not that great for you. Okay.
Oh yeah.
How- But honestly, once you've had a
Good.
custard waffle, you haven't lived until you've had a custard waffle.
Oh.
Everyone
Wow.
after this show is now going to be making custard waffles, and it's all my fault.
What's in there?
There we go.
Blueberries?
No, it's just burnt.
Burnt. Okay.
Just burnt.
It's a little.
Hell
It's
yeah.
a little
Yeah.
char.
It's a bit charred, yeah.
No, that's good. Like that's like crust, like custard.
That char is
crust.
Yeah,
flavor,
exactly.
guys. I mean,
Yep.
Exactly.
that's great.
Yeah, everyone
Steven-
try custard waffle. It's great.
Steven, I'm not sure that I'm going to throw something up about eating
And yeah, back
humans.
to the
We're
beginning.
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got one. I got one. I want to share of a
Okay.
of a Enola
Pardon the
Deli.
dog.
It's the here. Let me pull it up. No, wrong one.
Ozzy. Yes, his name is Ozzy. He's named after Ozzy Osbourne.
Cool.
That's cool.
It is
All right.
cool.
All right. Sid, you need to if you can
Let
see
me
it there.
find it.
Yeah.
There it is.
Chili dogs.
Chili dogs and French fries.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also part. I don't know if you've seen my one of my videos. I wrote this trilogy about my hometown, and
Uh-huh.
on Wednesdays, the special is chili dogs with cheese and stuff. So I use that image in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're really good.
I like French
Awesome.
fries.
Yeah, French fries are good. You see, I like a little French fries with my ketchup.
I see
Yeah.
that.
And then here, Marcus has graced us with a photo.
Okay, so not just photo.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
if the audio is going to come in, but
Awesome.
there's my Bible with my weed on it. And then, so me and Mary Jane. So this is a chicken fricassee that I made, a pepper
Yes.
fricassee. Normally a fricassee is like a white sauce, but I do a
Right.
red sauce.
I was going to say that.
And I put
I
red
wasn't-
peppers in
yeah.
it. It would come out almost white, but I use so much red pepper and
Mhm.
spice that it turns out that way. This is the gumbo, some of the
Yum.
gumbo that I made.
Really, that looks really good.
Um,
Using andouille, correct?
I used some, I used andouille. I don't know if you can see any in there. No.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't see it.
No, it's in there though. This is me boiling the.
Oh, yum.
So
So you can see how dark that is.
Yeah, and also all of the meats and stuff that are being cooked, you can see the all the good stuff coming up and forming this like
Right.
thing on the top there. That I wanted to show that. We're going backwards in time here.
That's the
So,
beginning of it.
This is closer to the beginning of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is starting to boil, and that's the mandouille right there.
Yeah.
And here's another boil.
Mm-hmm.
More boiling. You see, it's you boiled that. You see.
Yeah, you got to boil it.
This
Boiled
is early in it, and you can see all the little bubbles.
Yes.
This is the mirepoix doing its thing
Right.
and making the flavor and caramelizing further into the roux.
Yes.
Here's some of the seasoning.
Seasonings, right?
You know, people always ask me about seasonings, and I don't measure my stuff. So, you know, I'm giving you perspective here on
Eyeball.
Yeah, you know, you take that, you stir that, comme ça, like that, comme toi, and you get yourself a
Got
little
'em.
gumbo going, and then you can
Yeah.
feed a whole bunch of people.
Oh yeah, we used to have.
You get the boil going like this.
I hear the audio
See
right
here.
there.
Oh, you can hear the audio
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that
Okay.
boil going like this.
like that, and yeah, it's almost like I don't
That's
know,
awesome.
sugary sauce. There's a lot of sugar in this. I do
Yes.
add for that. I do.
Okay,
some
No, you don't need both.
sauce.
You don't need either.
I used the Kung Pao
But you do
sauce,
need to have
and I used
some
the
sauce.
what
I'm
is
not
it?
making the sauce, so
That's Szechuan.
you just deal with
So I
that.
put a little Szechuan and a little Kung Pao,
Put a little bit of that.
and
Put a little bit
this
of
is how it
this and a little
starts.
bit
It
of
just
that.
starts with virgin olive
Just a
oil
moment.
and chicken,
Chicken,
and
right?
some
Flip it
onion and
over
some
again.
And
garlic
some pepper.
and pepper, garlic and pepper, and
Plenty
really
fricassee.
simple, really simple.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That is really good, and I love listening to you talk about that. That was really cool. Oh, Chad, I just saw Chad came back. There he
He's
is.
back.
But yeah, when you're talking about cultures, and like my culture is Southern, the old South, the
Same here.
Texas, that type of stuff, and then you have Chad's having issues. Then you have Marcus, who has that wonderful Cajun culture, and that you know colors his the things that he makes.
Oh,
And
color
Joe,
is a great way to describe it, because
Oh,
Cajun
yeah.
is Creole, really, and it's white, black, red, brown, yellow, all the colors.
yeah.
Yep.
And then Joe has experience all over the place. It's very interesting to see the things that you have experienced, Joe, because it's not something I ever have. And food is something you experience. It's not just, oh gee whiz, I'm going to eat. It's not just to keep you alive. It's an experience.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I love to try different cuisines, definitely.
Yeah.
That's one thing I made sure I did in practically every country I went to, was to at least try some of the local restaurants.
Mhm.
Because every country looks the same inside of a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the pieces. That's what one of my RDCs said one time. When you go out there, have some fun, experience the cultures.
There's some crawfish.
Oh yeah.
That was the first. That was the first harvest of 2021,
Nice.
and that was right after the hurricane. So wasn't a big harvest. Normally that table would be completely full.
Covered. Yeah.
Mhm.
When you're talking about a good Cajun boil, it doesn't get much better than that.
It's good. Yeah.
All right, I gotta get going now, but
All right.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having me.
sharing the food, Joe.
Yeah, amazing.
Your stuff looks way more healthy.
your stuff looks way more delicious. So
I
Hey,
guarantee you,
Hey,
Southern.
the stuff you put up there, Joe, looked really good too.
It did. It did.
Yeah,
Thank
it looked
you.
good and healthy. Which,
Yeah.
And since Juliana can't join us tonight, I want to say everybody's got to try feijoada as well.
Feijoada? What is that?
Feijoada. Look it up. It's Brazilian. It's amazing.
Feijoada. Do you think I know how to spell that?
Let me put it in the chat. Feijoada.
That's funny. So
There we go.
Mac,
Feijoada.
Thank you.
So
I
Max
don't see
says,
it in this chat.
my kind of surprise. Do I need coconut milk or not to make it less spicy?
For what?
I'm not sure. Mac, you're
Feijoada?
gonna have
Oh,
to
there it is.
say. You're gonna have to
Thank you,
say.
Joe.
Add more spice. Always more spice.
But some people can't handle spice. I'm one of those that really have trouble with spice, which kind
I
of
had to cook for my kids too, and you have family. You probably have kids and grandkids, yeah. So you gotta kind of lower the heat for them.
Yeah, and I really wish that I could handle the heat. Myself, I have ever since I lost my gallbladder. It's one of those things.
Oh
that
yeah, that's different.
And
Black beans.
my youngest son has some really issues with acid reflux. And I mean, just it's incredibly bad. And I think he's actually borderline ulcers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be very careful of spice, of heat, which I miss because having, it's not the same to have blackened chicken or blackened fish of some sort, or any of the blackened stuff without plenty of cayenne pepper, to be quite honest.
Right.
you know. It's just not the same, and so that's rough. And some of the Mexican stuff that I do a tortilla soup that you guys will see here eventually. That is really good, and you can be pretty spicy. And what we did was we just dropped sour cream in it and stirred it up, just
Yeah.
to settle it down. So, I mean, so when you're talking about something that's spicy, if you get something that's too spicy, throw some sour cream or some milk or, a yogurt, that type of stuff. That's kind of
If it's a
why
stew, you can do potatoes too and pull some of
potatoes as
that out.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if it's too salty, you can use potatoes.
Potatoes, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that can pull the salt. A lot of times people will throw too much salt in or not think about it, and then all of a sudden,
You
it
can always
reduces.
add, but you cannot take
Not take it
away
out.
salt.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all of that's a general rule, is that you can. That's why a lot of people will get salted butter. I do not use salted butter
I don't
at
either.
all.
I always get unsalted.
Yeah, always unsalted, and the reason
Well, there
is
wasn't an
because
option for me for a long time, and all they had was butter, and it had salt in it.
salt in yeah, but it's another one of those things where you say, okay, so you've got salt in your butter. What's that going to do when, say, something reduces and now you've got a whole lot of salt? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Witness loves a good crawfish boil.
Yeah. I think
I don't know anyone who don't.
Oh, I don't either.
I think the last time I went to anything like that, we had these every once in a while, when I was in the Navy, we'd have picnics and they'd do stuff like that. And one time, I think it was on my last ship, they did a big vats of gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
Big vat.
Yeah.
It was pretty good, but I'm pretty sure Marcus, you probably made it better.
Well, it's like, I mean, in Louisiana, they do gumbo the way we in Texas do chili.
Yes.
I'm
not one of those guys that can make a 50-gallon pot of gumbo. I've been accustomed to making a regular, pot of gumbo. Yeah. But I mean, it's really just the same to me. You just add seasoning until you get the taste that you want. These are some tacos that I made. I learned how to make these in California.
I was going to say that. I thought they were tapas, maybe.
No, it's just
looks like street tacos.
Yeah, it's essentially street tacos with the lime pico. That's what's on the top, and you put you chop up some onions, you chop up some cilantro and some tomatoes, and then you squeeze some lime and put it in a Tupperware and let it sit for a little bit while you make your meat. And then you brown your tortillas, and those are there's like a double wrap corn tortilla. I got used to the corn tortillas and the harder flour tortillas when I was in California because they're just so handy. Big old burritos is just like I don't like I got away from it in California. I was like, these are so convenient. They were cheap. And
in your hand. I mean, it fits in your hand.
And you can eat it real quick, like you're on your way somewhere, you pick up a couple tacos.
Awesome.
And I would continue to share, but I'm going through. I don't want to share anything.
I hear you.
NSFW. There is one more thing. What is this? This is a curry that I made once. And I've done curries on and off for years. It just I'm not an expert at it. People seem to like them, but I always find that I'm dissatisfied with them. This is a yellow curry that I made. I just baked it in a dish. And it was, a lot of vegetables. There's green beans in there. There's carrots. There's chicken.
Curries are based on vegetables, I do believe.
Yeah. And I just took some mild curry, some paprika, and there's actually there's so many spices involved. I thought Cajun's stuff was hard, but like when I started looking into Indian food, I spent like when I first tried it back in like 2013 or 2014 to make Indian. I went to the store and I think I spent $50 on just one recipe to have the
The spice place.
spices.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
everything like you got coriander, cumin seed, regular
Yeah.
cumin,
Yeah.
paprika,
Mhm.
chili powder, multiple types of paste.
Mhm.
Which I'd be interested to know how to make the paste, like the red pepper paste, the green
Yeah.
paste,
Yeah.
because that's something that, like, as a cooking, I don't know what you call it, like, you know, ingredient that
Mhm.
I would totally make
Yeah.
Yeah.
just to have, you know.
Yeah.
The best curry I've ever had was actually made by a Bangladeshi.
See, this is oh no, that's not safe for work. Uh-oh.
That's funny. Oh,
Yep.
you're fine.
Yeah. Back in the
So go ahead.
back in the late '90s, I knew this guy named Shagor. He was an international student at the UCA, and we became friends. And he would make us curry,
Mhm.
and he dumbed it down for us, right?
Mhm.
So we'd sit there eating it, and our eyes would be watering. Every
Crying.
just like, and we're loving it, and he's
Mhm.
laughing at us because he, like I said, he used probably a smidge of the spice heat for us that he
Normally
used
would use.
for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's like Mac here, and I believe it's Sophia, but I can't swear to it.
yeah, it's Sophia.
Sophia Malpa. Yay! I remember the name. So Sophia says the food I freestyle on the spice and might need coconut milk, but still worth it to get the heat. You know, it's funny. I've in doing all of this online that I've been doing the recipes that I've been doing because I tend to eyeball it. I'm an eyeball. You know, this looks good. Throw it in there. And so now I'm actually having to measure what I throw in. You know what I'm saying? So that's been kind of an interesting thing. But a lot of people will eyeball it. My mentor is huge on eyeballing. He doesn't measure anything because the reality of it is he goes by what tastes good. So, you know, you taste it as you go.
Right.
So that's kind of so I see you have another one up here, Marcus.
Oh, it's just dessert. This is a creme brulee from
Creme
New Orleans
brulee,
over
yeah.
at
Yeah.
this is
Love
excellent
creme
stuff.
brulee.
That's from Muriel's in
Mhm.
Jackson Square, and then
Yeah.
also
Not
have
Jackson Square.
this right here is
Mhm.
bread pudding
Pudding. Yeah.
with like this butter pecan drizzle. It's amazing.
Mhm.
Highly recommend Muriel's if you're ever in New Orleans at Jackson Square.
Yeah.
So Joe has a question from her channel. What is the minimum amount of time a good sauce should be cooked for? I don't know that there truly is a
42
minimum.
minutes. I mean,
I you know until it
22
gets to
minutes and
desired
6 seconds.
thickness is kind of where I go. You know, there is not a amount of time. Again, time is relative. That's one of the things you have to understand, that time is relative. The only thing that is constant when you're cooking is temperature. Okay? Because again, like I've said a few times, it's like I could say it takes 20 minutes to cook this roast in your oven. Let's throw that out there. And then Marcus comes along and he cooks it in his oven and it's, you know, it took 15. And then Brian comes along in his oven and it took 45. Okay? But the issue is, or the thing is that they're all the same temperature. So a lot of times what you'll see is that instead of saying, you know, put this in your oven for 30 minutes, I will say put this in your oven until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees.
That's the way to do it. I mean, if you're going to be technical about it, you need to measure the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as sauces go, like, you know, you do have to sort of, I mean, with anything else, the more you do it, the better you get.
Yes.
And so if you make a sauce, it sucks and you hate it, then try it again and do it different.
Yes. Yes.
There is no time limit. It's not like there's a very generic.
Again,
how long to make a sauce? Well, what kind of sauce? I mean, you know.
Well, she's asking pasta sauce.
Okay.
And even then, that is subjective.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things you want to. It's the same question as how high do you cook it at? You know, my husband makes a pasta sauce. He'll start it on Friday and we'll eat it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and meat too. It goes. I actually have a picture that would show that pretty good in regards to meat, and because how long do you cook it? Well, how do you want it to turn out?
Yeah.
There's some. Where is this? I made some sausage and pork. Here it is. Sausage and pork ribs. And you know, if you go by the recipe, it says, you know, 2 hours, but
Mhm.
I cooked this at 2 hours at 350 is what it says. I cooked it for 6 hours at 225 or something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
And those sausages, like you could almost just like lift them up and they break. And the
Mhm.
same for the ribs. You know, you
Mhm.
couldn't even, you could grab the bone and just pull it right
It would
out.
just yeah.
And
So
that's the way you want them too.
that's the
Yeah.
way I like them. I mean,
Yeah, that's the way I like it.
I don't want to fight with it. Although a lot of the barbecue gurus say you want some pull, you know. And Whitney makes a good point here too.
yeah,
Altitude
altitude
makes a
does make a
difference.
difference.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that is why it is I say to people, don't look at it as how long does it take. I mean, when again, Joe, when you're talking a pasta sauce, you can make a pasta sauce in 20 minutes. If you, it doesn't, the flavors don't marry. It's not as good,
Yeah.
but you can make one in 20 minutes.
I gotta go.
All righty, Brian.
I'll see
Thanks
y'all
for
later.
showing up. Take
Bye,
care,
Brian.
darling.
Bye.
But you can make one in 20 minutes, but then again, a classic one like my husband makes that comes from Sicily, it comes through his family. I mean, that's a 3-day affair.
Mhm.
You know, there are people, Marcus can probably tell you how to make a gumbo in an hour, but it will take, if he wants to make a good gumbo, it will take, you know, however
Takes
many
me
hours.
about, yeah. I mean, it takes me about 2-3 hours to
Mhm.
make a gumbo.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, Marcus. I didn't realize you did that much cooking.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, you got to. I like. I spent a lot of time at home alone, so like it wasn't a whole
Yeah.
lot of adults to cook. And once I got tired of ramen noodles and stuff, you know, I started asking mom, "Hey, how do you make that? How did you make it?" She was working, and then like, you know, started making food. You know, and I'm lucky because all of my family knows how to cook.
Alrighty, Stephen, thanks for coming and joining us. Don't forget to go to everybody's channel and hit like and subscribe if you haven't. We'll go through that here in a little bit. But Sophia says slow cooked is best. And if you're talking barbecue or if you're talking stews, I would agree. But there are some things like stir fries and other types of food that are best cooked fast. You
Mhm.
know, so if you're talking about, like, say, a brisket, I mean, 250 degrees for 3 hours, and then you wrap it, and when it hits 115 internal temp, and then wrap it. And the interesting thing was, once you wrap something, when you're smoking it, it no longer gets any smoke. So because you've wrapped it, it's that you've already gotten what smoke you're going to get. And so what I do, because I don't, if I had a pellet smoker, I would leave it out there once I wrap it, because you can control that temperature.
Yeah, those are very accurate. I've
Very
enjoyed
nice.
using those.
But I have a stick burner.
Yeah.
So, which means that temperature does this, you know, because you don't have anything that's truly controlling it. So what I do is when I hit that time and I wrap it, I actually put it in my oven at 250 degrees. And
Mhm.
the reason I do that is I know I've already got my smoke. I've covered it, so I'm not going to get any more. and I can control the temperature in my oven a whole lot easier than I can in my stick burner smoker. So when you see when I do briskets or I smoke ribs or turkey, I'm going to do a turkey here before too much longer for the Thanksgiving type of thing.
Yeah.
You will see me once that smoke and we start doing the covering of it, it will move into the kitchen. Just because I can control that temperature.
Yeah.
So, you know, and so do you do a whole lot of smoking, Marcus, or no?
No, I usually just use the oven. I don't have a. If I do, the last smoker I had was the Old Smoky.
Yeah.
And I use just briquettes and smoke sausages, smoke meats. For turkeys, I just use an oven, and I do inject it with my seasonings and let it marinate for at least 12 hours.
So do you brine it, or is it just?
Yeah, I brine
injection?
all of my poultry stuff usually, especially turkey, because I want that to be really tender,
juicy and tender. Yeah. I don't brine mine. I actually I do mine in a bag. And so it keeps
that's
moisture.
almost the same. Yeah, those bake bags, those are amazing.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job. Now, what I do with mine is I actually lift the skin off the muscle, and I do a compound butter. And so what I'll do is I'll put that butter underneath the skin, and then I will just kind of sit there, and then I put rosemary and sage, a little bit of thyme, literally the sprigs, the fresh, under the skin. So it's on the meat. So as that butter melts, it brings that
crust.
Yeah. And then we
call that cracklings.
Yeah. And then on the skin, what I do is I do a confit, or I do a roasted garlic, which also goes under the skin, by the way. And then when you do that, you get a garlic infused olive oil.
Right.
Okay. So I'll paint that on, and then I have a Adams Reserve seasoning that I use called white wine and garlic butter. And I just sprinkle that over the top, and that's how I do that.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it turns out really well. And my husband makes the stuffing. That's his job, and he will not let me take that over. That's his thing. And so he will make the stuffing, although he has allowed me to throw craisins in his stuffing. So now I've done that, or the first time I did it was cherries. I did the dried cherries, which he really liked. So yeah. You're very right. If you want a full flavor, you shouldn't rush it, and that's why a lot of times when I'm doing a sauce, the sauce is actually basically a reduction. Add with fat. You basically reduce the wine or the things that are in your pan, and then you throw butter in it to pull it together. That's usually how a sauce works. So yes, it can take a good amount of time, but again, it depends on what kind of sauce you're talking about. If you're talking about one done with white wine and pan drippings, yes, that takes time because you do have to do that reduction. But if you're talking a spaghetti sauce, like I said, you can either go, really quick, although you're not going to get the flavors. That's the key, because you have to wait for those seasonings, the oregano, the basil, all of that stuff needs to cook for a little bit to release its oils, and then you need to pull it off and let it sit for a little while, because that's where all those flavors do what I call marry. They all get together, they all become friends, and that's what makes it good. And that's why it takes so much time when you're talking about something that is like a spaghetti sauce that takes 2 or 3 days. Is you're getting all of that, the oils that are in your sauce, in your seasonings, to blend. a lot of times, in fact, this is sometimes very important when you're talking about sauces and that type of stuff, is that if you're using seasonings, you need to bloom your seasonings. You know, if that means that it, like with saffron, you want to put that in water or oil so that it blooms. If you're talking about fennel or some of the bigger ones, rosemary, basil, those types of things, you want to put them in a hot pan so that you can get the oils to release. And that's how you get all of those flavors in a little bit quicker time. It's not that you want to do it faster, but it does open those seasonings up to go ahead and blend, if that makes sense.
They can also taste different too, if you,
Yes.
depending on how quickly or slowly you cook something.
Yeah, exactly. So she's saying that if you want full flavor of a sauce, you shouldn't rush it. Always bugged me with part of my family. They turn off. Is that off or of? Off, probably. A slow cooked sauce off after like 30 minutes without asking or informing you. You know, it's all about taste. You know, when you're cooking a sauce, and yes, that would be really annoying to have, be working on a good sauce or even any of the food that you're working on, is to, go in there and you have it set and you know exactly what you're looking for, that flavor, however you want to do it. And somebody comes in and turns it off before it's, it's there. That is sacrilegious in a way. It's not like if I were to walk into my old boss's, my mentor's kitchen and go, oh yeah, turn this off because I think it's burning. Oh my God, he'd have my head.
Yeah, because you might ruin it. Like
exactly,
you can't recover it. It's kind of like if you mess up the roux, if you burn the roux, then you gotta start over.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of some of the things that you think of. So I can understand why you would get upset, because you have it down low, you're getting those flavors, they're marrying. That's kind of, that makes it rough. And somebody comes in and turns it off, and that messes it up. And that's really annoying, especially if you've worked on something for quite a while. If you spent 3 hours trying to get that roux exactly right, and here comes somebody and turns it off, What's your thoughts on that, Marcus?
Yeah, it wouldn't be thoughts, it'd be words.
Exactly.
In general, I don't like when people touch my stuff. Like if I have my planner out and somebody just like, it's like, geez, I knew exactly what page it was on, and so I know how you guys feel.
Chad, have you ever watched Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
No.
Oh man, what about Brack?
You ever heard no, I don't really. No.
He's got a song that goes, "Don't touch me."
What does he say?
Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Well, it's like when something's perfect, and exactly like if somebody like cleans your room or something, it's like, dude,
I can't find anything. Yeah, I literally can't find anything if somebody cleans my room. You know?
That's what I mean. Yep.
It's like, I can walk straight to it if it's where I put, if my room's a mess, I can literally walk straight to it, pick it up, and do what I need to. If somebody cleans it, and even they put it, quote unquote, where it's supposed to go, I'll spend 2 hours trying to find it.
Right. Yeah, there's a reason why we placed it, even though it looks not great. There's a reason.
No comment.
See each his own.
Happens all the time, huh, Marcus?
Oh yeah, I put shit somewhere, and where is it?
And you have to ask.
It's over there. I put it where it goes. Oh, okay.
I can't tell you how many times that I've torn through these drawers that I have that have things like my whisks and my, all my different little utensils, looking for a potato peeler, and it's like, where is it? That's really so. Whitney needs that song.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I mean, it's if you Google BRAK "Don't touch me."
Oh wow.
Then you'll find it. Yep. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good song.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, this is. I'll dedicate it to you, Chad. And
But don't give me a strike now.
no. All he says is "Don't touch me."
Oh.
I don't think this would be. Oh, it is. No, you're right. It's Cartoon Network. So
Yeah. it'd
I will
probably be-
link. I'll drop the link in the chat.
Sounds good. We have like saying it's even more rude than asking me to do my recipes without fat or salt, which they absolutely did. Cooking around that family was a nightmare. Don't ask me to change the way I cook. If you don't like it, then don't
Make
come
it.
to visit.
You go make it. You make
Exactly.
something. Look, we got stuff
Exactly.
in the fridge. I got groceries. You want to make something? Go ahead.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like I mean, if we're talking holidays,
about a
we try to
sandwich?
accommodate. Yeah, I try to accommodate some on the holidays, but the reality of it is I'm going to cook the way I cook, and that's what it is. I mean, I did I did basically 2 meals last year with Thanksgiving, in that my husband had the regular stuffing and the yams, although I did sneak butternut squash into those yams and he never knew it. He hates squash. He won't touch it. But yeah, I did a lot of things that were low carb, basically because my daughter was going to be there, and she's a type 1 diabetic. I'm a type 2 diabetic. And so we're trying to keep the sugars down, keep the carbohydrates down.
Yeah. I'm
so
doing that, and I'm not even diabetic.
I have, Marcus, you'll enjoy this. I basically have a cookbook that is all low carb. I have not pulled it out yet. I did get the stuff to make, I think I've got it all, to make the low carb lasagna this week. So that one's probably coming some point this week. And that's going to be showing me, Chad, you'll love this. It's going to show you how to make the pizza crust, because the noodle that I make is actually also making that pizza crust. It's the same recipe.
Oh, nice.
So it's very tasty. So you'll enjoy that, and I'll kind of go over that a little bit as I do it. But and I know, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to, it's just a kind of a pipe dream, and I'll probably never do it, but I'd like to make a calzone.
Making it depends on how you make it, though. I mean, we're talking about a calzone is basically a pizza that's been flipped.
Oh, okay.
So, you put, it's almost like a pizza omelet. Let's call it a pizza omelet. That's literally what it is. So you take and you put all the stuff in one half, and you flip the top over, and then you kind of roll it and seal it, and then you bake it, coat it with an egg wash and bake it. That's a calzone. So,
because I have to go out almost a half an hour when I get those calzones. There's not many people that make them anymore. They do look complicated.
Yeah, they really are not too bad. If you can make a pizza, you can probably. What's this, Marcus?
This is a cookbook my cousin wrote, John LaFleur.
Oh, wow.
And it's a Creole cookbook, menu of ethnic diversity, and it's also got like 400 some odd glossary of terms.
Awesome.
Creole,
Creole stuff.
It's Creole because it's Choctaw, African, German. The French adopted and integrated a lot of the words from those languages to create Creole, which is why nobody who speaks French understands Creole French, because it's a mix of 4 or 5 different languages. So
and Cajun, when you're talking Cajun is also a mixture of languages. So it's a lot of people have trouble understanding it. It's probably less so than Creole, but it's still, and it's very quick. It's very fast. The cadence is really fast.
Yeah. I mean, the the thing is that the Cajuns only comprise about 2,000 people, 2,000 immigrants from the latter part of the Spanish period, the 1650s, 1750s of immigration. The French colonials had come in earlier in the early 1600s, and by the tens of thousands. And so the Acadians from Nova Scotia and Acadia came in a like a 10-year period, about 2,000 of them, and they were heavily terrorized and by the British, and were, you know, the Acadian expulsion is a whole tragedy in history that a lot of people don't know about, but basically it was, you know, they split up the men, women, and children in a way not too dissimilar than
to what they did to the Native Americans.
Well, or the Jewish in Germany, or Native Americans here. Yeah, and so they were understandably skittish about everybody. They were dropped off. The ones that were landed here were dropped off, you know, in either Fort Toulouse or New Orleans, and they ended up in the Creole parishes, kind of staying away from everybody, including the Native Americans, including the African Americans. They were all on their own. Yeah, pretty much. And the Native Americans and other people, like, you know, tried to interact with them. They were over time, the Acadians sort of integrated and realized, okay, we're not going to be annihilated. Right. But the Acadians were mostly white. And so at a certain point after the Civil War, the Jim Crow laws, you know, were perpetuated. And so they wanted to find a way to rob these colored people, the slightly lighter ones, of their dignity. And so the Cajun culture, white Cajun culture, became a racial marker, whereas Creole was multicultural, one people out of many, one. This is from Louis XIV's decree, and the Pope signed it, and all this stuff. It was like, out of many, one people, one indigenous people. But the introduction of Cajun culture is really the what do they call it? Appropriation. They were like, okay, everything that was Creole in the Creole parishes, all this great food and culture that comes from, you know, South America and the native cultures and the German cultures, like we're gonna give the Cajuns, we're gonna give the Cajuns credit for all of that. And so, you know, while yes, in my family there is Cajuns in my family, no doubt. We got some Cajuns that have roots up in Canada, but more so it's the French colonials and the Creole, because the and what is a Creole? It's a person that has a lineage from France that came here. That they were French, cultured, but they were New France, and they were called Creole. That was the term designated by.
And they were much more open, much more inviting.
Well, I mean, France, I mean, even before all that, France was like the place where you go to see all the cultures. And so New France was even more of that. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great cookbook, and it's got some interesting definitions and whatnot, and language, because you won't find some of these words anywhere, and that's why Quebecois speakers, if you listen, it's funny. There's a girl up in Toronto who does YouTube videos where she tries to translate Cajun French or Creoles speaking French, and she's like, I mean, I know that word, but how does that make it? It's kind of like how I was talking earlier, where it's you have a lot of repetitions, and you have a lot of speech that's
almost backwards. It's kind of a
lot of it's inference, and a lot of it is what's that word for where you don't say it directly because no one ever wanted to be rude. I don't know what you
I
call
know
those
right here. Yeah.
euphemisms and
Euphemisms
stuff.
and that type of, yeah.
So like they had this thing, don't drop the potato, you know, and
Sort of
that
like
meant
Dan
don't
and you're not
screw up.
dropping the soap, right?
Oh, yeah. Don't drop the potato. Como sa plume, because they had so many chickens. Like, it's like how many chickens you got today? Because they were just plucking chickens all the time to eat.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I mean, we're talking about what you have to do to survive. Because, as I recall, and Marcus, you can correct me if you would. The Creole people were more into the swamp area. Is that about right?
Oh, Creole. Yeah, I mean, it starts at Fort Toulouse. You know, that was the initial
Right.
outpost where the French the
Kind of dropped them off.
well, no, not the Acadians. The Acadians came through New Orleans,
Right.
and even ports like Port Fourchon and Port
Okay.
Allen, port in Morgan City, and in Lake Charles even. So
Right.
but the French came Fort Toulouse. That was the forefront of New France at the time, and so it was the Native Americans that sort of started helping them navigate the terrain and teach them how to live and introduce them to the cultures that were here. And they became a cultured French people: Choctaw French, Cherokee French, Métis French, and Cree French. There's a lot of different tribes that used to exist, obviously, that don't exist anymore. But the Choctaw were a huge part of it because they had this whole coup d'etat group that was basically interpreters. They were sort of scouts, and if they ran into anybody at that time, you know, those were the people who would interface with the new strangers first. And they tended to be more like, well, sociable and socially amenable, and because you know, when you encounter someone for the first time, you don't speak their language, or you don't know if you speak their language. What do you do? Pantomime. Yeah, you make gestures. You inspect what they're wearing. You know, you look at, you know, oh, what's this? Okay, and hopefully they encounter what they eat. Well, a lot of the initial interaction was
food based. Yes,
was totally food based, because they're looking at French colonials and they're like, well, wait a minute, there's this part over there where they're camped and they eat really good. And then there's this other part where they don't take care of their people, because there was still that, you know, caste almost system. And they did have
there was prejudice in built in that.
Sure, they had slaves. But the slaves had rights, which was kind of weird. But you know, they had a caste system of some kind. So they went over there and like, what is wrong with you people? However, they communicated it, and they started helping them grow food, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, again, if you're out in an area where, you know, the things that are available to you, you know, that's how different cuisines come about, because what's available in that area is the ingredients you use to form that cuisine.
Yeah.
You know, so you're looking at a group of people who basically grew up in a swamp, so they or lived in the swamp. So you got
the mud people.
You got things like crawfish.
Turtles, crawfish, frogs, garfish,
all of that stuff.
I mean, crabs, shrimps.
All of that stuff, because it was readily available.
Snake.
Yep.
Possum.
It was
raccoon.
Nutri-Rat, as we were talking about earlier. I mean, all of that stuff.
I'm not sure when they were introduced, but yeah, they are. They're a nuisance now because they eat up all the wetlands.
Yeah, they are not a species that's
Yeah, they're an
from there.
invasive. Yeah,
They're
they're
invasive,
invasive.
yeah.
Some
But they're
genius brought them
huge
over here
for
to
hunting,
clear up.
probably.
Well, the from what I recall, this might not be correct, but McElhenney Farms
Hmm.
was the guy who supposedly brought him over to clear out some land and build or to farm more Tabasco,
Okay,
and it
yeah.
got out of control. But I don't know if that's true or not.
Who knows? But it's still invasive. It still was brought
Oh
over.
yeah,
They're
you can
not
still get
indigenous.
$6 a tail.
Yeah. And they're not indigenous. But again, I mean, we're talking about, so people have used them to become to in their recipes because hey, they're readily available.
Yeah, Paul
You know.
Prudhomme was famously promoting, and coming up with recipes because he's like, look, y'all, like I care about Louisiana. I'm from here, and
Mhm.
like I'm gonna serve. It was almost like what would you call it? Almost an activism thing where he was like, I'm gonna serve Nutri-Rat at my restaurant,
Mhm.
and because I want to support the conservation of the wetlands.
Right. And you always kind of wonder who was the first person who opened up an oyster, said, that looks good, and ate it.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, it looked like a booger. I'm gonna eat that.
Who was that
Oh, I
person?
want to put it on a fire. I want to have me a cooked up booger.
Yep, exactly. So I mean, those kind of things, you have to kind of wonder where they came from. But again, we're talking what was available here in
Oh
Texas.
yeah.
What's available is a lot of peppers, a lot of beef, a lot of beef was a big thing. That's why in Texas beef is huge.
Mm,
Whereas you go to, say, South Carolina and it's pork.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's what's readily available. What can you survive on? And that's where different cuisines come along.
Pigs were really big here too. The Couchon de
Yeah,
Lays,
yeah.
I mean, and then they would cook up they'd bleed a pig,
Mhm,
you know, they just a wild hog. They go
mhm,
catch one. Hey, we got a wild hog, and then they bleed it, and then they cook up all the cracklings. They do a Couchon de Lait,
mhm.
um, and then whatever meat's left over, they just go start bringing it to
Bring
people
it to
to
people.
eat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the big thing that happens a lot here, and probably in Louisiana as well, is that if somebody hits a deer, they automatically call the game
Game
warden,
warden.
and the game warden takes it and they process it and give it to poor people.
That's right.
So it's what they do.
There's a great show on, I don't know if it's Netflix, but they follow the Louisiana wildlife and fisheries,
Mhm,
and you get to
mhm,
see the hunters that are trying to skirt the law a little bit. And there's
mhm,
but stuff like what you just said, they'll get a deer that someone hit and go bring it to a family that is in need. And that
mhm.
Mock said something in the chat is very true. Food brings people together. If you think
Yes.
about it, 100, 200, 300 years ago, or even longer, for time
Mhm.
immemorial, like, eating is necessary. Water is necessary.
Yeah.
And here in Louisiana, it's a harsh place, but there is so much to eat.
Yes.
You may not want to eat it,
Yes.
but if you make it right, it can be really good.
Yeah. And most of the time, if you're, if it's put in front of you and you're looking at it, don't ask what's in it, because just eat
Good
it.
advice. Good
Just
advice.
just try it. Don't ask. Because you could be sitting there eating something and, oh, this is so good, and then all of a sudden they're going to tell you it's Nutri-Rat, and you're going to go, what? And
Mhm.
and turn off to it.
Yep.
But you've loved it prior to,
Yep.
So the best thing is to do is that if you're, if it's in something like a gumbo or
It says chicken.
that type of, yeah, is to literally say, just eat it and enjoy it, and don't worry about what's in it.
Oh wow, look at that shot. You're at a waterfall. I'm
It's
amazed that
beautiful.
you're even getting
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, man. That looks amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Wish I was there. Anyway, so we're getting almost to the 2-hour mark. Marcus,
has been really nice.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, your channel, and that type of stuff? Let's see if we can get you some
Sure.
people.
Let me pull it up, I guess. And mute that. Okay. Yeah, because there's a video that automatically plays. I'm gonna change that soon, I think. Share screen. In Theta. So in Theta is a play on words from the Scientology definition. It's actually spelled EN-THETA. And
Right.
it is it's bad juju. It's negative energy. You don't want it in your life. People can be in Theta. Those are people that are anti-Scientology or anti your spiritual growth. So years ago the channel was called Wog World, and if I have no from inside and from growing up the way I did, I didn't even know what that was. The only time I'd heard that word was in Scientology. So later I found out, it's this wicked racial slur in Australia and South Africa and in Europe. So
it's basically considered the N-word, what we would consider the N-word.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. So I changed it from that word world to in Theta. I do broadcasts every Monday.
Nice.
I did one last week called Double Disconnection. It was about disconnecting from my biological father and how that whole thing went. I do that every Monday. All these are self-analysis. I need to redo the thumbnails, but what that is it's me going through my old videos that I started publishing in 2015 when I so from 2012 to 2015 I was doing my doubt condition. I was still in my mind, I was still in the prison of belief, or whatever, how Lawrence Wright describes it in Going Clear. Going Clear was a huge thing that, in addition to Mike leaving. And so I used Scientology to get out of Scientology. And my first video is really long and very painful emotionally to do, and difficult and scary and all this stuff. But that's the one that sort of like got viral overnight, and it scared me, and I took it down because I was already getting OSA on my channel. So there's a lot of videos in the video section. There's some shorts now. I'm starting to do the shorts.
Right.
So, there's stuff there. And then every Monday at 10 a.m. Central, I do self-analysis, where I go back and watch one of these old videos that I had, because at a certain point I pulled my videos because there was noisy investigation going on in my life, and I was homeless, and I had just about had enough of all of the nonsense that was going on. And sometimes I post these little meditation videos of music that I do. And then I have all of the affiliates on my home page. I also have my other channels. This is me and my brother's music channel, the Fleur Brothers. We did a record a couple years ago. We got honor from the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana licensed the record for the library system. This is a studio network channel that I run. It's a network of recording studios all over the world, and we do different stuff: video game, music, film stuff. And then Delta Gold Media is just a publishing company where I publish stuff. Music, different albums that I've worked on over the years, playlists there. And then High Noon I do on Thursdays. It's 2 hours of pirate radio on the internet of music that I can legally play.
Right.
And I have fun with that. It's sort of like the old school DJs, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
broadcasting
good
a
old
lesson.
Wolfman Jack, right?
Yeah, my brother called me that. He said, that's funny. Yeah, you got that reference. I get that reference, but I wasn't alive for Wolfman Jack. But yeah,
You know,
that real free spirited
yeah.
radio.
Well, you know, Marcus, interestingly enough, as we discuss Wolfman Jack just for a short bit here, I came very close to becoming a part of Scientology. I mean, we're talking like this close. I was, I, I hesitate to say emotionally. My mother was a narcissist and made life very difficult for me. I mean, incredibly difficult for me. She lives 20 minutes from me right now, and I haven't talked to her since 2011. So I basically cut her out of my life. There's no way I'm doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes you have
as
to.
yeah, but as a 16, 17-year-old, that time, 15, 16, 17-year-old in that time frame,
Mhm.
I was watching Wolfman Jack on a show called The Midnight Special.
Yeah.
Yes. And the volcano ad came on, and they talked
Oh,
about
shit.
how you can fix your relationship and you can do this better and you can communicate and all of those things. And I'm like going, that's what I need.
Mhm.
Okay. The only reason, I will tell you, the only reason is I didn't have any money to my name.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
takes that.
yeah. So it wasn't a case of, you know, if I call these people up, they're going to want to sell me a book and they're going to want to do things because obviously that's what they were selling in that, you know, they were selling this book.
Right.
And I just don't have the money for that. So,
You know, it's sort of like drug dealers.
Mhm.
The first taste is free. You know, you
Mhm.
do they will, and if they can't get your money, they'll try and traffic you into it, which is what happened to me. I didn't have a lot of
Right.
money either,
Right.
but I had a certain set of a very specific set of skills.
Mhm.
Now I was young. I was emancipated early. Like you, I had a parental figure who was very destructive in my life and my
Mhm.
family,
Mhm.
and remains to be so to this day. And
Mhm.
so it was almost like a vacation for me because at least the punishments were predictable,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
it does.
like
It actually does.
I actually felt more loved in that group than I
Mhm.
did in my family under the control of this person.
Person. Right.
And you know, he had absolutely no issue with the organization, other
Mhm.
than he thought that they sent too much mail, and that really
Mhm.
pisses him off. But
Mhm.
yeah, the uh,
That yeah.
they'll take your money or they'll take
Yeah.
your time,
Mhm.
but they'll
I mean,
take.
it was consideration. I came very close, you
Mm,
know. Um,
thank God.
thank God. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I ended up living with what was going on in my life and graduated high school, you
Yeah.
know. And got through that. I moved out shortly thereafter. But
Right.
until that time frame, I mean, things were very difficult, and I
Hmm.
was looking for any way out. I was basically begging my family, my mother and my father to send me to boarding school for Christ's sakes.
Right, right. I mean,
You
things
know?
can get that bad when you're in a situation like that. I mean, my luck was that there was reported, you know, I had bruises on my arms, and the
Yeah.
teachers
See, I
reported
didn't have that.
that, and
Mhm.
the cops came to the house, and they're like, "Is he?" Da, 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 da," and it's like, you know, no, like he's standing
Mhm.
right here. You think I'm going to tell you? Um, it's a common thing with victims,
Mhm.
you know, they
Mhm.
don't want to tell because they're afraid of what's going to happen when
Gonna
they get
happen.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this guy, oh man, he crazy, and he got a lot of firearms. He's very, very
Yeah.
violent,
You had a rougher time than
very
I mean,
violent. Now I
I
got
was
lucky though.
yeah.
My high school counselor saw this report from this teacher and
Mhm.
brought me in and was like, you know, what is going on at home? And I don't remember all of what I told her. I'm sure I was, as a teenager, I was still very like, you know, limited in
Controlled.
what I was saying. What, yeah, control.
Controlled, yeah.
But she got the gist of it. And the day that I turned 16, I got called to her office, and my mother got called from work by the counselor, asked for a parent teacher conference, and asked my mother to sign a piece of paper that emancipated me.
Yeah.
And so from that point, I had no legal obligation to live there anymore. Just like you were willing to go to freaking boarding school, I was willing, and I was running away all the time, sneaking out, getting away. And this was like, oh my God, like someone actually cares. But at the same time, I'm 16 and I can't get a full-time job. How am I going to, I went from couch to couch until I was able to get a place with a friend, got my GED, focused really hard on music, read tons of books about audio engineering, apprenticed and worked under studio engineers that would allow me to go hang out in their studios.
Right.
And ended up in Nashville in 99, 2000, and was a young professional working in.
We were in Nashville at the same time.
Were we?
Yeah, I lived in Cookville.
Okay, I was in Antioch.
Yeah,
right by the 40, and we toured for a while, and then during this time I had this episode of HPPD where I talk about it in the first video, and that's what sort of led me into this dark part of my life where I sought out some solution. I didn't want to do any drugs.
Right.
And Scientology is very anti-drug, so I was like, okay, I'll go with that instead of the medical stuff.
Right.
And that's how they got me. But they saw that I was working with celebrities, and they're like, "Oh, well, we got a thing for you.
We got a place for you." Yeah. There was a guy. If you were in the music industry in Nashville in the 2000s, the 99, 2000 area, there is a guy. He's a bass player, and he's like 6'8". His name is Gage Becker.
Becker. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And I mean, if you ever saw him, you would know him.
6'8". I mean, you can't miss.
He is he has a stand-up bass that he is as tall as.
Okay. Does he play up like bluegrass and stuff? Mostly
country.
Yeah. I bet you 3rd and Lindsley was the hot spot for that. And every Friday they'd have like a jam, and there'd be all kind of people like the Wooten brothers. That's where I met them.
Right.
The guy that they play with, who I never can, Bela Fleck. Bela Fleck would hang out there. But yeah,
he still plays in Nashville. He's still in that area. So
Bela Fleck?
No, Gage.
Oh yeah.
He came out of Texas. In fact, there was a guy who was a country singer in our area. His name was Austin Weiser was his actual name, but he went by Austin Steele. And sorry, Jen. And Gage was his bass player here in Texas. As Austin was trying to gain a following, and that's how I met him. And he's a great guy, really great guy.
I miss the weather. I miss a lot of things about Nashville. I've dreamed about retiring there, but the food. I have to open a restaurant. I just everywhere I've lived, there's nothing compares.
Nothing.
I gotta get
nothing stands out. It's like, what is the food in this area is what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to any other states or anything.
Agreed.
It's just, I grew up here. You might experience the same thing if you came down here. I mean, I doubt it, but
it was like the thing that I found in Nashville, honest to God, that was Nashville, was this hot chicken.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lived there for about 7 years. I lived in Cookville for about 7 years. So,
right on. I love the weather up there. I love the people
beautiful.
up there.
And they're friendly. The one thing in Cookville that I discovered that area is that now you have to understand, I came from Texas where everybody knows everybody, and I had been working as a veterinary technician, a veterinary assistant and knew a lot. The vet that I worked for, we worked in an emergency clinic, so I knew and had seen a lot and had to do a lot. And I seemed to intimidate the vets in the area by what I knew. And I got comments about, well, you're overqualified. And I'm like going, look, my husband's a truck driver. He makes really good money. I'm doing this to get the frick out of the house.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what you pay me, but look what you get for free.
Right.
You know, and I really think I just intimidated them by what I knew because of how that had gone on. So it became, it became sort of a, if you weren't from there, you were an outsider. While we're friendly to you, you're still an outsider.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I got from being there. But yeah, we were there about the same time, because it was 99, 98, 99, 2000, you know. In fact, I moved there in 98.
What a trip.
Yeah.
What a trip. Like, there's a possibility if you ever went to Opry Mills that you passed in front of me at
all the time.
Yeah, because when I wasn't on the road, I started out on the road with my friends, and then I ended up on the road with United Artists.
Small world, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. When I was on the road with my friends, I worked at a smoothie place in the Opry Mills Mall.
Mm-hmm. We went to Opry Mills a lot because, I mean, that's where you went.
Yeah,
you know,
back then,
it's just where you went.
You could see performances. They had the little recording. The guy that had the micro recording studio where you could go do your karaoke and record it. Like, I knew that guy. I was in a band with his wife.
I did a karaoke piece in that very studio.
That is ripped out, man.
Yeah, really cool.
Small world.
Small world.
It's been really, really nice visiting with you.
You and as Chad, well, and Chad and Joe and
Poet.
Poet. So we're gonna wrap this up here, guys. We've been talking about a lot of things. We'll do this again.
Sure.
And maybe we'll just sit and talk about general stuff instead of, we don't have to talk about food all the time on Food Talk. We can talk about
do whatever you want. It's your
whatever
space.
we want. Exactly. So Clearwater Chad has his channel. Please make a trip over to Clearwater Chad's. Go over to Marcus the In Theta.
Did you dye your hair, Chad?
Did I dye my hair? No.
Okay.
Maybe the sun is making it look different.
It looks dark.
So here's the thing. This is not my hair. I don't have much.
Oh, okay.
You know, so
it looks like hair to me.
Thank you. It is the color my hair was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But
ginger.
Yeah, I finally got tired of being bald, and so I cut all my hair off and said I'm wearing a wig.
I grow my hair for everyone that can't.
Yeah.
Because I was told by a friend of mine who's going bald, he says, "You're an asshole because you have awesome hair and you never I generally like my hair short just because it's easy. I can wake up and just go like this and look halfway decent. But this requires all kind of
little work.
Yeah, and the longer it gets,
the more work.
But Cynthia helps me with that now. So
well, there you go. But anyway, so we're gonna wrap this up. It has been fun. I enjoyed with everybody, and we will do this again, folks. Again, remember, go over to In Theta and like and subscribe. Guys, I am at 250 subs. I am halfway to the first step of monetization. So, of course, now we're not talking about watch hours. I'm doing decently on that. But if you guys want to come over and like and subscribe, I have a playlist of these lives that you can actually help me build up my watch hours. But we're getting close. So I want to thank everybody for doing that for me. And again, we will do this again. So y'all have an awesome day, and we will catch you. Exactly. We will catch you next Friday. Y'all take care. I'm ending now.